sometimes have an expectation that their partner will open up in the same way that their best friends will open up.
Yeah.
And many men fall short of that expectation, i.e., I think there's often a narrative that women want a man to kind of sit down and talk about his problems and open up and listen and all those kinds of things that a woman might do with her best friends. But men, for some reasons, tend to struggle with that.
Yeah. Well, women want that and they don't want that. So women say they want that, and they think that they truly mean it when they say they want that. But in couples therapy, I'll see something like a woman will come in and she'll say that exact thing to her partner. I really want you to open up. I feel like we're not connecting. I want you to be more vulnerable with me. I want you to tell me what's going on inside. And if he does, and let's say he starts crying, tears up, or really starts crying, she inevitably will have this reaction of, I don't feel safe when he doesn't open up to me because I don't feel connected to him, but I don't feel safe when he's that vulnerable with me either, because there's something, just some cultural programming in her around what it's like to be with a man who's crying or a man who is vulnerable. And so I think that's really problematic. And I think that makes it, kind of harder for men to feel like, well, I have a safe space to open up. Like it takes a lot for a man to really feel like, oh, this is something that I want to share. Whereas I think women just feel a lot more free to do that with their partners.
I saw a video yesterday that I'm actually going to play to you because I saved it ahead of this conversation. It caused a lot of discussion online on Twitter.
Okay.
So this is the video, okay?
Yeah.
Just wants somebody who's so obsessed with the Bible and so obsessed with Jesus and who understands and, like you said, like who can teach us things. Yeah. Like I want my dude to speak in tongues and have tattoos. I just want a good man. Like a nice classic man. I want somebody who will literally protect me and beat someone's butt if they need to, but also will sit there with compassion and just like a good-hearted man. That's what a true man is. There has to be that dichotomy. It's the same thing with feminine women too. There's always a dichotomy. There's a softness and a strength. And for men, being masculine is being able to beat someone's butt, maybe not physically, but like being a protector and like doing what he needs to do to protect his family. But then also being soft enough to like be able to tend to his wife's feelings and like to be okay.
That's hilarious. But that's people would say, well, I'm not like that. But yet when you actually talk to people about when they're dating and you're talking to them about what's going on and why they're not going out on another date with somebody, or why they won't even go on a first date with somebody, those are the kinds of things. That's an exaggerated version of the kinds of things that you will hear.
Which is what kind of things? Like they're not 6'4", they're not strong and soft at the same time.
Yeah. It's, they have to be this and this. These two, they want someone who's, I want someone who's really, really ambitious, but also really family oriented. I want someone, right? These kinds of things that are hard to find both of those in equal measure in the same person. Someone who's extremely ambitious is probably going to spend a lot of time at work. I want someone, so I'm 5'2", and it would be, someone like me saying, and he has to be over 6 feet. Really? Just all of these kinds of things. So in my book, Marry Him, I wrote a whole book about this because I was looking at how do we date today? And what are the expectations that we have? And, the publisher called it Marry Him, the case for settling for Mr. Goodenough. It's not about settling at all. It's actually about having higher standards, not lower standards, but having higher standards about the things that actually matter. So I looked at all of the data and I talked to behavioral economists and sociologists and historians. And I talked to, therapists who specialize in divorce, who specialize in couples therapy. And it was really interesting to hear to see like how expectations have changed over time. And then also to see what it is that actually matters to have a happy, fulfilling, long-lasting relationship, and how when we're dating, we're not even looking at those qualities. And so, for example, the character qualities. If you look at what are the most important things that would predict whether a relationship is going to last, what qualities do you want in a partner? Flexibility is really important.
What does that mean?
So flexibility, meaning you're not a really rigid person. People who are really rigid, it has to be this way. I need it this way. I expect this of you, right? On social media, we might call that boundaries right now. And boundaries are really important. Don't get me wrong. Healthy boundaries are very important. But rigidity is when you say that, well, I'm just very boundaried, but you're actually really rigid. So we have to have flexibility. We have to have room for the person to also be them, and that you are a separate person from the person that you're with. And oftentimes it's hard for people to see that because they're so focused on what I need without thinking about what does this relationship need and what does the other person need too. Emotional generosity is really important, that you give someone the benefit of the doubt, that you're not bringing your old wounds into the relationship and projecting them onto your partner. So I would call emotional maturity or emotional stability. So many times people overlook that when they're dating. So that looks like, someone comes into therapy and they say, I don't understand why, I love him so much and I don't understand why he didn't call when he said he would, or I don't understand why he canceled. And I will say, what do you love exactly? Is this how you want your life to go, to always be on edge, to always wonder, to be with someone who's unreliable, who doesn't do what they say they were going to do? What part of this do you love? Oh, but he's so funny and attractive and, he's so smart. You like qualities about him, but you don't like the way he is with you in relationship. And so people need to have higher standards about the character qualities, things that are important to them, like loyalty, reliability, emotional stability, again, emotional generosity. Can they be supportive of you when things are going well for you?
On that point,